Good morning. I invite you to begin the Time for All Ages with me by reciting the words printed in your bulletin, or if you've got them memorized, see if you can teach them to the person next to you and use the hand motions if you even can go that far. We are the people of Fountain Street Church, people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We've been saying that every Sunday this year, and some of you, I think, can even do it with your eyes closed and maybe one hand tied behind your back. Maybe we'll try that next Sunday. No, I won't be here if we can't do that next Sunday. You want to try that next Sunday? No. Well, it is so good to be here with you on this celebration Sunday, this day when we celebrate the many gifts of this community, the gifts that this community has brought into the world, and the ways in which we have planted seeds and harvested and labored throughout this past year. I want to tell you a little story to start this out, though. About a year ago, my partner and I bought a house, the very first house we ever bought. And when we first looked at the house, it was in February, so there was tons of snow. It was covering the trees and the lawn, and the front. We couldn't even tell what the lawn was going to look like. But the people who were selling the house to us promised us that the people who'd lived there before had been avid gardeners, that there were beautiful landscaped shrubs and greens and flowers and all kinds of wonderful plants. So we thought, well, we don't really have to do much work at all then. Well, the snow melted, and we waited. And we waited. And we saw the little green shoots creeping up. We didn't know what they were going to be. We saw ferns coming up over here. We saw tulips, crocuses, irises, daylilies. We saw all kinds of flowers. We didn't even know what they were. We had to ask our neighbors, what is this stuff? We didn't even know which ones were weeds. So we decided to just enjoy the garden that summer, not change a thing. This year, we're doing the same thing. We've moved a few things around because we've decided some things might fit better in other places. We're shifting the ferns. Boy, those grow really fast. I don't know if any of y'all have ferns. But we are reaping the harvest that we never sowed. We are enjoying plants that were there when we came. And now we're taking some responsibility as stewards of that garden to move things around, to shift things, to make sure some stuff doesn't get overgrown, things get enough light, enough soil, enough water. Such is the work of gardening, and that's the work that we have been doing here this year. That's the work that this big, long sheet of paper that's unfurled celebrates. The things that people have been involved in here at the church that have given back to this community. And while our leaders and learners are here with you, I want to list off just a few of the things that they've done this year. Those in the high school age and under ministries have served over 2,500 folks in New York City, painted and sold over 200 diversity steaks, made over 200 bags of food for the kids' food basket, served dinner to residents of Northeast Grand Rapids through Supper House, participated in a garlic mustard pull, cleaned up East Town in Grand Rapids, served over 1,100 people through the classes each morning here at Fountain Street Church and in the evenings, people who come to learn and grow, to walk labyrinths and meditate, touched the lives of over 200 children who were on their own spiritual journeys, and raised almost $200 for Kids Food Basket, the Humane Society, and local environmental causes. This is just the tip of the greenery that's popping up from the ground here, and you all have been a part of it. So the seeds that are in your bulletin this morning should be seeds that remind you that you are planting seeds everywhere you go, even as you are enjoying the harvest that you did not plant as well. Now, we've got a ritual that we started last year, and we're doing it again this year, that talks more about flowers and seeds. And so I've got some helpers that are going to help me. Would those of you who volunteered bring those flowers in from the narthex? You may have noticed as you walked in this morning, there were flowers sitting in baskets in the narthex. That's the fancy word for the room right behind the sanctuary here. This ritual is a ritual that was started earlier in the 20th century by a man named Norbert Čapek. He was a Baptist minister. And he lived during a time when people were getting persecuted for having liberal beliefs. And so he developed this ritual in his church as a way to celebrate all of the various gifts that people bring, to celebrate the beauty and the wonder of each person and how unique they are. He called it a flower communion. Y'all can go ahead and bring those in. Yeah, that's fine. He called it a flower communion. And what he did was he had people from his church just come that morning and just bring a flower from their garden, simple flower. And they put them all up, like we're about to do, in front of the congregation. The children actually did this in his church. They put them up in front of the congregation as a symbol of the bouquet of the gathered community. And how gorgeous these things all fit together. How you could have daisies next to lilies, next to lilacs, next to tulips, next to carnations. And it makes just a beautiful array. So he had the children of the church bring them up here in front of the congregation and had the congregation appreciate that beauty. And then he invited the congregation to bless the flowers. As a symbol, yeah, you guys can just put them right up here. You can put those in there if you want. Invited the congregation to bless the flowers as a symbol of our acceptance of each and every person here. Now, we actually have the same words that he used. Somebody wrote them down. And so this morning, I'm going to ask you guys to pray with me. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and open your heart real big, just like we do in chime time upstairs, and ask you guys to do the same thing, to open your hearts and allow your blessing to flow forth onto these flowers and this community, this gathered people of faith. Here are the words that Mr. Čapek used. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and of sharing. May we cherish friendship as one of thy precious gifts. Now, may we not let awareness of others' talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. May it be so. Amen. So after we leave here today and we go back to our classes, Fred's going to talk some more about this stuff, and once the whole worship service is over, each person gets to take a flower different than the one that they brought. Sometimes people didn't even bring a flower, but you know what? There's enough for everybody, because that's one of the other beautiful things about the garden of the soul. There's always enough for everyone.